Coming up on this episode of Nintendo Cartridge Society, we paint the town red, then we click on the undo dog and put it back the way it was. Talk with my father before you leave town, so the Nintendo Cartridge Society talks with my father with you. Welcome to Nintendo Cartridge Society. My name is Patrick Ellers, and I'm joined, as I'm always joined, by my co-host, Mark Mitchell. We've got a good show for you this week. We're going to be talking about the news, or today, we've got a good show. We're going to be talking about the news from the week, and then on Thursday, maybe we're talking about a Nintendo Direct?
Yeah, I mean, and if we're not,
then we're doing something else.
we'll talk about something else.
Then we'll just do something else.
Yeah. It's all in hand.
Right.
No worries.
We don't have a news item about this possible Direct later on in the show, right?
No, because we talked about it last week, and
This
week is just kind of like out there that possibly there could be a Nintendo Direct. Folks are saying online that by the end of August, our good friend Nate the Hate is reiterating that.
And August it begins on Friday.
Yeah. So TikTok is what I'm saying.
That's right. Yeah, TikTok indeed. But Mark, in the meantime, how's it going?
It's going great. I was looking for something to watch while I exercised, and I on the Roku channel they have the Great American Baking Show.
Yes.
And the good judges are still Paul and Prue from the Great British Bake Off.
Oh, interesting.
Yes. But the
yes, the judges.
Judges.
But the hosts are Casey Wilson and
Zach Cherry.
Right. Although in the new season, Zach Cherry is not returning. It's Andrew Rannells.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
So and then it's like shorter. It was started with, I think, 6 bakers, maybe 8 bakers or something. I think it's 6. I actually think it's 6. But when I first started it, it was jarring because I was like, oh, this is less charming when they're not British. But by the end,
right.
I was on the right wavelength. Like, it won me over, I guess is what I'm saying.
Sure, you just had to like get tuned into it.
Well, and I thought Casey Wilson and Zach Cherry were funnier than the British
that feels like a low bar to clear. The hosts on the British Bake Off are always where I'm like, no, next, skip. I don't want this. But I love Casey Wilson.
Yeah, I thought that they were both pretty good. So, anyways,
and I liked Zach Cherry too. I don't know why.
No. Yeah, I mean, very clear, Patrick's feelings.
Yes, very clear. My feelings. Mark, I have a question for you.
Oh, sure, yeah.
So I have started a reread of the Marvel Star Wars comics starting in 2015. And as is my wont when I undertake a project like this, my not first step, because I've read a couple issues first, but pretty early I was like, there's no good like reading order for this. There's no like thorough reading list. So I'm going to put together like a game plan of how to read the entire thing more or less chronologically. And, like they skip around through like different eras of Star Wars and all this kind of stuff. So I made like kind of an exhaustive like comics reader guide.
Oh, wow.
And in so doing, I was reminded of the fact that they, whenever a new Star Wars movie comes out or came out, because they have not successfully put one out for 6 years. Whenever a new Star Wars movie comes out, they do 2 things. They do some sort of like lead up to the movie comic, and then they do an adaptation of the comic. And the lead up to the movie, especially in terms of the episodes, were always called Journey to The Force Awakens, Journey to The Last Jedi, Journey to The Rise of Skywalker. And they always come out before the movie comes out, and then the actual comic adaptation comes out, like 5 or 6 months later, because a lot of those movies are coming in pretty hot. And so they don't necessarily have like completed scripts for a comic adapter to work off of. The Rise of Skywalker, which came out, the movie, in December 2019. Mark, when do you think the first issue of the comic adaptation came out?
Oh, it's pretty new, isn't it? There's a Star Wars YouTube channel that I subscribe to
yes.
that reads the comics, and I think they were talking about it fairly recently.
Yeah, it was last year.
Oh my gosh.
So they sat on that adaptation for 5 years, and there's no like That's the only one that they took forever to adapt.
Oh, I could. Yeah, that's so interesting. Because I couldn't remember. Do you think? First of all, it's crazy to me that it's been 5 years since Rise of Skywalker released.
It'll be 6 in December.
Wow. Yeah. It's going to be interesting to watch. I really disliked Rise of Skywalker, but it'll be interesting to watch if that movie will be reclaimed in the same way that like the prequels have been by people who grew up watching them.
Yeah.
And that's like Star Wars to them, and they really love it, because I think that will happen. And it could start happening in the next like 5 years.
I mean, in 5 years, it's a 10-year-old movie, which is how old basically Force Awakens is now. Force Awakens will be 10 years old this December.
Because I feel like with like Phantom Menace, it was really around the 20th anniversary, maybe really the 25th anniversary. I think the 20th in like 20.
Yeah, I was gonna say that the 25th anniversary was just a couple years ago.
Yeah,
I mean, honestly, I think that the Clone Wars animated series did a lot to rehabilitate the prequels in people's eyes. If for no other reason that like maybe kids weren't even growing up watching the prequels, they were growing up watching the Clone Wars.
Yeah, that's interesting.
And then got to see those characters in live action.
Well, maybe those kids who grew up watching Clone Wars are just going to go nuts for when Sluggo or whatever, Jabba the Hutt's baby son, shows up in fully grown form.
Yeah, played by Jeremy Allen White.
Yeah,
right?
In this Mandalorian Grogu movie.
If Ahsoka is there and she calls him Stinky, I'm on board. If that doesn't happen, I'm out. Mark, if people want to support us, they can head on over to, and hear us talk more about movies, they can head on over to patreon.com/Nintendo Cartridge Society, where if they're supporting us at the 8 or 16-bit levels, they get access to our once-a-month episodes of miniseries, or in the case of July, twice a month, like NCS Arcade.
Yeah, and like
NCS at the movies.
At the movies. And like Patrick was saying, we are going to see movies together. We've had guests come along, and we are talking about them. We kicked off with Superman. We just released an episode about the Fantastic Four First Steps, and we're going to be talking about The Naked Gun as well. So, yeah, come check that out. And then if you're supporting us at the 8-bit or 16-bit level, there's a bunch of other miniseries from the past for you to dig into, including 3 seasons of NCS Arcade, where we played games that we had never beaten before. So all of that is a bunch of fun. Thank you so much to everybody who follows us over there, even at the free level. Because there is some stuff up for free listeners as well.
Yep, so check that out if it is of interest to you. You should also join our Discord if you have not already. Email us, Nintendo Cartridge Society at gmail.com. And I will send you an invitation, and then you can be in there with people who are discovering new things about Donkey Kong Bonanza every day. New to them, I guess, not genuinely new things. There can't possibly be like an actually new thing to discover.
Yeah, that would be interesting, right? Where it's like the developers didn't mean to. Well, I guess that happens sometimes.
Sure, right? Yeah, I guess discoveries can be made.
Maybe they're somehow.
But I don't know how. New kind of butterfly. Or something.
Yeah, maybe like the layers. Because they're voxels that they formed together in a way Nintendo didn't expect, and now they've like grown sentience. And
I guess that's possible. Sure.
Well, just maybe.
Yeah, just
let us know in the Discord if that's something that happens to you.
If you've discovered that your copy of Donkey Kong Bonanza has become sentient, let us know.
Yeah, I'd be interested to know.
Me too. All right, Mark, let's get into what we've been playing this week. Speaking of Bonanza, we've both been playing Donkey Kong Bonanza. We will talk a little bit more, I think, at the end of the what we've been playing segment here, just in case people want to skip ahead and not be spoiled, because we have both now progressed past the point where we were on last week's episode where we dug into Bonanza, no pun intended, of course. But Mark, what else have you been playing this week?
Pretty much just Donkey Kong Bonanza. And we'll talk about that in a second. But I also want to note that the Nintendo Switch Online playtest program kicked off yesterday as of this recording.
Point.
So it's like Monday night at 6 p.m. Pacific time. So I haven't dug into it as of this recording, but I plan to check it out. And we, of course, will not talk about it in the future.
Because we're probably not allowed.
Right.
But also we definitely will. And I was participating in the last one, so I believe that grants me the ability to play this one as well. I still have it on my Switch. Like I transferred it over when I moved to the Switch 2. So hopefully that all just works again. But played some Mario Kart World this weekend. Sarah's continuing to play through Super Mario 3D World. But she's really gotten to the point where it's like the only thing left to do is because you have to like fully max out the game, you have to beat every level with each of the characters. And so like getting all the stars, getting the top of the flagpole, getting the stamp, that's the hard part. And then it's like kind of just a grind of like getting through them. So she's been going back and forth between that and Mario Kart World. And every time she goes into World, and her thing now is playing Knockout Tour online. And that's just fun to join her, and like both of us do our best to not get knocked out in the very first leg of it. Neither of us were able to claim a victory over the weekend. She got a second place.
Wow.
And I don't think my finishes were anything to brag about. But yeah, she got a second place.
How are your skills? How are her skills in like wall grinding and all the new tricks that I assume are really important if you're playing Knockout Tour online?
I don't really think they are that important.
Oh, okay.
In Knockout Tour online. One of the things about Knockout Tour is that there is just a lot of sort of like straightaway stuff, and a lot of like utilizing items intelligently. But like you're just not going through like the tight corridors of like the individual tracks. It's kind of all connecting pieces, which doesn't mean that you're not like doing some intense steering at various points, but like I have not found it to be super useful to chain together a bunch of attacks or tricks to like get ahead, especially when like you can really easily be dethroned by a couple well-placed items, and you're racing against 23 other people who have those items. So yeah, it's so chaotic. I don't know if you've done Knockout Tour online yet.
I haven't.
Mark, you got to try it because it's just nutso. But yeah, it's like an unmanageable beast, and even like racing well doesn't guarantee you anything.
I mean, I need to get back to World in general because I still have so many P switches in like free roam mode that I haven't even touched. I still have costumes I need to get. So yeah,
that's the other thing. That's the other thing that Sarah's been on my case about, actually, because she, I'm the one with a Nintendo Switch Online account. She just has like a regular account on the Switch, and under her profile, she's unlocked every costume in every vehicle, and also has gotten like 300 P switches or something. But then we have to play on my profile to go online.
Oh, sure.
And she's like, why don't you have all the costumes? It's because I am not as dedicated a Mario Kart World player as she is. I helped her unlock a lot of those costumes too when she was playing. So, whatever. Yeah, I feel the same way that like, my mind and my gaming time is very much Donkey Kong Bananaza right now. And I don't know if I will 100%. I probably won't 100% it, but I do feel like once I beat it, I'm gonna keep digging around for stuff.
Yeah.
Because that's just how I like to enjoy the game. Yeah. Should we move into our conversation now about what we've been playing in DKB?
Yeah, let's do that.
Mark, how long would you like to talk about Donkey Kong Bananaza?
Yeah, let's set ourselves maybe a 3-minute time.
3-minute timer.
Limit?
Hey
Yeah.
Siri, set a timer for 3 minutes.
So if you don't want to hear us talk about Donkey Kong Bananaza, and because there's something I want to talk about that's I would say like a pretty big spoiler in some ways. So if you don't want that, skip ahead 3 minutes, and we will be done.
2 minutes and 44 seconds at this point.
Yeah, 2 minutes. Okay, great. So I'm on the race layer.
So did you go through the garbage layer before that, or is the garbage layer after that? Okay.
Yeah. Went through the garbage layer before that.
Garbage layer, fascinating. Because it is like it's all digging. There's almost no like. There's one permanent structure in like the middle of it. No one really like occupies it.
It's like where the eels come from.
Maybe it's where the eels come from, and like there are sort of enemies, but not really.
Yeah, not really. And there's a few like challenges, and like you there are
lots of colors.
Yeah,
right?
you buy
Fur
colors.
Yeah,
But there's
outfits.
no other like outfits.
I just thought that one was very interesting because it was that they were like, this section is all about exploration.
I know,
and
it's
nothing
interesting
else.
they have these like breather layers.
Yeah.
That just something like that where the garbage layer doesn't really advance the story or like anything. It's just kind of breaks up between the major layers. Well, in the race layer,
And we can circle back to the elephant layer after this if we have time. But
oh
go.
sure, yeah,
Race layer.
Well, okay, so the race layer, we know that Diddy Kong and Donkey Kong and Dixie Kong are in the game because we saw that in trailers beforehand. Finally reached them at this point, and the layer again seems to be a non-traditional layer where it's all based around this Rambi race that I haven't done yet.
Right, but there's just like a little landing point where you can get like 10 bananas and like, I don't know, maybe 30 fossils, something, 20 fossils, something like that. And is a nice, like, tight little area to like knock out. Well, I really enjoyed doing that.
The thing that I want to talk about with like Donkey Kong lore implications is that when you talk to Diddy and Dixie, they're like, oh, hey, we know Donkey Kong from adventures in the past. Like, Diddy's like, I went on a few adventures with him. Dixie's like, I went on some too, and we went on one together where we actually rescued Donkey Kong. And Candy Kong is going to be so jealous that the three of us are together.
Right.
So it's like, okay, all that stuff, Cranky Kong's in the game, all that stuff happened. The fact that when they name drop Candy Kong,
yeah,
I like
honestly
was shocked.
When Dixie was like, I have canonically been on 2 adventures, one even without Donkey Kong, or both without Donkey Kong.
Yeah.
That I was like, oh wow, they're like really doubling down on like, here is the canon.
Right. And gives us more placement on like the Donkey Kong timeline.
Sure.
Because it means that those games happened earlier. This game is somewhere presumably in between.
Now, I know you haven't listened to all of the like sleeping conversations.
Yeah, that's right.
But Pauline does refer to her grandmother at one point who likes to listen to her sing.
Oh,
so who knows if those are lore implications, if this is Pauline Jr. or what. Okay.
All right.
That's the timer.
That's it.
That's the timer.
We now close the book on Donkey Kong Bonanza discussion.
We are not spoiling Donkey Kong Bonanza anymore.
Right.
Well, and all right, that's what we've been playing this week. Mark, do you want to get into the new releases and what we might be playing next week?
Yeah, let's do it.
I never posed that as a question before.
Luckily, I was trained in the art of improv, and so I know to say yes to that question.
Yeah, there should
no.
be an and after that, I think. Yes, and do it.
And, yeah. Let's talk about Nintendo music. Well,
let's talk about 2 things.
Yes.
Not just Nintendo music.
Well, Mario Paint
was
the soundtrack that dropped on Nintendo Music, which in and of itself is great because Mario Paint for the Super Nintendo has an amazing soundtrack.
Yeah. Like really some of the best Nintendo working music there is. And Nintendo is the king of that, right? Like all of the Wii channel music is like iconic, but it all feels like it traces back to Mario Paint.
And then at the same time on Nintendo Switch Online plus expansion pack, they added Mario Paint to the Super Nintendo Classics app. And
sorry, is it only with the expansion pack? Because the Super NES is available with just NSO regular.
Oh, then I'm mistaken. It is just available on Nintendo Switch Online then. I don't know why I thought that I don't know why I thought that the Super Nintendo was part of the expansion pack, but obviously not.
Right. NES, Super NES, and the Game Boy are all part of the regular subscription.
So yeah, available to everybody who has a Nintendo Switch Online subscription. If you are playing with the Switch 2, it uses the Joy-Con 2 mouse controls. And if you are played on the Switch, unless you want to experience Mario Paint the way I experienced it, where we bought it secondhand and didn't have a mouse, then you'll want to plug a mouse into your Switch.
But I still so you're saying that you can control it with a regular controller?
You can, but my experience with Mario Paint was really limited because it wasn't very fun doing it with a regular controller. But you could, like, you press like B or something and drag the D-pad around, and that kind of mimicked using a mouse. But it was,
sounds bad.
Yeah, it was pretty bad.
So you said right that if you're playing on regular Switch that you can use a USB mouse.
Yes.
Obviously, when the thing is docked, if it is not docked, I think you're kind of out of options.
Yeah, I don't know if you can use the Bluetooth one or not.
Oh, because it does connect. It does have Bluetooth connection for audio.
But I don't know.
They certainly didn't say that you could. Um, that also means that Switch Lite users are cut out of this too, because there's no USB plug on the Switch Lite. I guess there's the USB-C.
Right, and I don't know if
I
you
don't know
could
if
do
you
that.
could do that.
Yeah.
But also, like, then you're standing up your Switch Lite on something and using it. I don't know. Mark, this is thrilling to me. This is the trailer dropped like right as I was finishing up with dinner and then heading over here to record with you. So I have not gotten to put my hands back on it. But man, just watching that trailer was like a rush of nostalgia. And I can't wait to get in there and like make some music and like do some drawings and make some stamps and stuff like that. Part of the trailer, they were like, if you want to save your creations the old-fashioned way by visiting the save robot, you can still do that if you want to hear the groovy tunes of the save robot. And I was like, or they have like a different solution for this? Like, are there new features in my Mario Paint? And it turns out that they're just like, no, you can use the save state.
I see. Sure.
Save like 4 different versions of whatever you're working on. Which is true, but it's just not. I don't know. That feels like a wonky little workaround that I'm not happy with. Mark, seeing this trailer made me want to get a VCR that I can hook up the Switch to, so I can start like taping my creations onto VHS cassettes.
Is that what you did as a kid?
Mm-hmm, yeah,
Oh.
and it would like would have like one scene of like here's the background, and then like get a walk animation and some background music. And record just like that bit of the walking animation out to wherever, and then probably have like a second record that, start a new one with like a new guy walking in from the other side, and then like making a movie from there.
That is really fun.
Yeah.
The point about being able to save using like the Nintendo Switch Online save states, not specifically related to Mario Paint, but it made me curious when you are playing a Nintendo Switch Online game that has the ability to save in-game. Do you ever use that, or do you just purely rely on save states?
No, I usually use I use the actual save feature.
Yeah, interesting.
The only time I really use the save states really just was when playing the Nintendo 64 games, right?
Oh,
because otherwise I'm just like, no, I'll rewind.
Yeah, that's interesting.
If something goes wrong.
Yeah, I basically don't use in-game saves at all if I can just create save states. Like I use that as my save points. So like in Wind Waker, I actually have no idea what that progress would look like. I guess it probably auto saves at some point, right? Probably.
I don't think so.
Really? I guess on a GameCube game, maybe it would.
GameCube, like that predates the concept of auto saving. So
yeah, so I don't know that it would have anything in like the file data. It's all just save states that I create.
I guess the only thing that would worry me about that is like if you die, then you go back to your last save point, which isn't necessarily the case in like a game like Zelda, right? It may like spawn you back at the beginning of like that dungeon or whatever.
Oh yeah, that's interesting.
So yeah, but I mean I don't know. I'm also there are some ways in which like I like the convenience of being able to drop a save state wherever I am, but like if I'm playing a game, if I'm playing like Super Metroid, for example, and I get to a save room, I'm going to save it there. And
yeah, I'd probably do it for like something like Super Metroid. Or
I'm just like, this is the point where I can do that.
Yeah.
And then otherwise it's like like Super Mario World. That is it asks me to if I wanted to save, and I always say yes. So yeah, like generally speaking, I will try to adhere to like the systems of the thing itself, unless I find them like too encumbering to really use.
Yeah, and I feel like I'm the opposite. Like unless the game, like in a Super Metroid or Mario World is another great example, where as just part of the game flow, it's like you want to save, then I'll do it, but otherwise I don't bother with like the in-game save mechanic.
Interesting.
On to new releases. We continue forward.
Oh, sorry. No, as I want to go back to Mario Paint for a second, because I just realized I don't need to do this VCR thing at all, because I can just take video feed. I can like do capture at least 30 seconds of video that I can then send to my phone.
Yeah, that's true. And now, if you have it set up, you don't even have to send it. It'll just show up on your phone in the app.
This is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Well, yes. Yeah, that's right. You have to have it set up, and then it just goes to the app. So then I can edit those movies together on my phone.
I can't wait to see these.
This is going to be so fun.
Okay, so today, July 29th, Tales of the Shire, a Lord of the Rings game, finally released. And the reviews on it are not very good, which is sad to me because it does seem like the perfect setup for a cozy video game. But yeah, unfortunately, this one doesn't look like it turned out all that great.
Yeah, 4 out of 10 on IGN.
But on Thursday, July 3rd...
That's quite bad.
Yeah. Some of the other reviews weren't as bad. I saw some like 7 out of 10s and stuff on OpenCritic, but on Thursday, July 31st, Dear Me, I Was is released digitally, and this is the Arc System Works game that was just announced a few weeks ago. And
yeah, seemingly in the style of Another Code Recollection.
Yes, but it's short. It's only $8, so I'm definitely gonna check this out.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, I wonder just how short, right? Because Another Code Recollection was a $50 release, 60 something.
Yeah, I think it was a full $60 release.
You keep talking about it. I'm gonna look it up.
Okay. And then also on Thursday, Ninja Gaiden Ragebound is released.
Yeah, do we have reviews on that one? Because that's a real, like, feels like it could be good, but it's the exact same to me as is it Dark Labyrinth? What's the name of the pack?
Shadow Labyrinth.
Shadow Labyrinth, where it's like, oh, this could be something, but it could also be kind of garbage.
Yeah, I don't know the reviews that come out for that one yet.
Okay.
But yeah, those are pretty much the new releases.
Are you interested in any of those, or
just the Dear Me I Was? I think I will be picking up. I've actually never played a Ninja Gaiden game all the way through, except for maybe the DS one where you held it sideways like a book. What was that called? Probably Deadly Shadows or something like that. But other than that, I've messed around with the 3D reboot from the Xbox and like 360 era, but I've never played like the NES game.
Okay, so here we go. Another Code Recollection. Where are you on my list? There's MEO. Here's Nintendo World Championships.
I'm pretty sure it's $60 because it was that like weird Nintendo year where they were charging $60 for things like this.
Yeah, sorry. I had this sorted to only show me games that were parts of franchises. All right, here we go. Another Code Recollection. Yeah, launched at $59.99. That's an expensive game, and now we're getting something like it, maybe for $8.
Yeah, who knows? It'll be interesting to see.
Yeah, like exactly what it is. All right, great. Mark, let's close this segment out. Which brings us to a regular segment on our show. It's time for 433. In 1952, American composer John Cage wrote a piece called 433, wherein a performer or a group of performers didn't play their instruments for 4 minutes and 33 seconds. For the purposes of this show, our instruments are talking about Nintendo. So, for the duration of one performance, 433, Mark and I'll talk about something not at all Nintendo related, thus fulfilling the contract of the piece. Mark, today we are taking a suggestion from Matt. Thank you, Matt. Back from our 866 episode. Matt suggested rank fast food French fries.
Okay. So
you're going to have to help me out a little bit here, Mark, because I don't eat as much fast food these days because they don't all offer vegetarian options.
Sure, yeah.
I would say with the exception of like McDonald's, who also doesn't really have vegetarian options, I have not been going to places that have French fries for kind of a while.
Yeah, were you, when you were eating meat, did you enjoy fast food French fries, putting everything else aside? Like, because I feel like there are people I know who like don't eat meat, but they're like, ooh, but I love McDonald's French fries. Because people just love McDonald's French fries.
Well, then my gut is like McDonald's French fries is an easy number one.
I think so, probably.
Right? Yeah, and I mean, I really like a McDonald's French fry. I like an In-N-Out. I like the whole fry experience. I get the criticism against the In-N-Out French fry, but I don't know. I think it's fine.
Yeah, I feel like for In-N-Out, you have to want that particular
Totally, yes.
like experience.
And you have to eat it the second it leaves the, the red, like the bag. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and it's probably the realest,
Yeah.
like French fry
For sure.
experience.
I've seen
because they're
those
just
potatoes.
like slicing the
Yes.
potatoes and then frying them. There's no, I mean, I don't know what else they do to them, but it feels
I
probably
think
the
that's
least
it,
processed. Yeah.
Yeah, and then because Burger King has an Impossible Whopper, I've had Burger King French fries more recently, but I don't particularly like them. I'm not like moved by the Burger King French fries.
Yeah.
It's a little too like batter-y, like too much.
I do know what you mean.
And then like I can't remember the last time I had a Wendy's French fry, because what am I going to eat at Wendy's besides like a baked potato?
I honestly
I'm not going to get a baked potato with French fries.
I honestly can't remember. So there was a point, this was probably like 15 years ago, that Wendy's reinvented their fries, and it was like, oh, there's still skin on them.
Right.
Is that the current generation of Wendy's fries that we're in, or did they reinvent them again?
Mark, I'm telling you,
I know,
have
you
not
don't know.
eaten at a Wendy's.
Do you know
in 10 years?
Do you know what I miss? There used to be a Rally's in Atwater Village, and where there's a Starbucks now.
Okay.
And,
yes.
There was a Rally's by my high school, and I didn't eat there very often, but I remember, because it was almost like a novelty, I remember liking it a lot.
Right.
And it's probably been 8 years since that Rally's existed, and so it's been at least that long since I've eaten Rally's. But I remember liking Rally's French fries.
I don't think I've ever eaten at a Rally's. I don't believe they were in the Midwest.
It's like Rally/Checkers, which
I
don't know if it's the same thing or if it's like a Carl's Jr. Hardy situation where they're
Which is
branded
basically the same thing.
similarly, but I think they still
Right.
have distinct menus to a degree.
Yeah. Well, and let's talk about the Carl's Jr. Hardee's, which are also restaurants that I have basically never eaten at.
Yeah, I feel like they're
Also, Jack in the Box, which is a very West Coast kind of place.
it's been a long time since I've eaten at a Jack in the Box.
Remember that Jack in the Box that was right across the street from the Amiibo?
Amoeba?
Amoeba. Oh my god.
Yeah, but right by the Cinerama Dome. I do remember that. I do remember that Jack in the Box.
I didn't want to say Amiibo.
Let's see, other places.
I wanted to say a different word.
Arby's. Yeah, but really, I think for me, McDonald's. Oh, and I guess Five Guys. But I feel like so many of these places don't have very descript fries.
Sure.
Where they're not memorable. They're like Burger King.
There's
fries.
also Shake Shack.
Yes,
They have those crinkle cut fries.
Yeah, I don't really care for Shake Shack at all.
Not even the milkshake?
Want to glow up?
Oh, hold on.
We got birds chirping. We got whatever that was.
It's an ad for Verizon, I think.
We didn't do a very good job of ranking it, but we talked about them a lot.
We sure did talk about why I wasn't going to be any good at ranking them.
But I think McDonald's.
McDonald's number one.
Yeah, McDonald's number one.
All right.
It's a classic.
We were accompanied today by, of course, that Verizon commercial and pianist Andrew Wrangle or Rangel. Unclear exactly. All right, Mark, let's get into the news.
Last Tuesday was a Pokemon Presents stream.
Yeah,
And
it was.
well, I didn't watch it live. I caught highlights after the fact. What was your Pokemon Presents experience? Because it was 6 in the morning.
It was 6
Pacific
in the morning. Yeah, that's right. Which is about when I'm waking up, kind of anyway. But if I don't have something specific to get out of bed for, like maybe I lounge around a little bit, or whatever. But because I knew this was happening, I was like, no, get out of bed. We'll watch this thing. So I watched it live. I did not see an hour of DJ Pikachu before this, and that's fine. And I know that every Pokemon Presents is going to be, 5 minutes of talking about the current state of the in real life tournaments and the Pokemon championships and all that kind of stuff. And then transitioning into, I don't know, 10 or 12 minutes of talking about updates to mobile games. and then like then we start to get like some console game information. And I think that even by those standards, by those expectations, I was so annoyed that I got out of bed and watched this thing.
I am constantly like impressed slash surprised at how many Pokemon mobile things are just ongoing.
Yes.
And how many they keep introducing.
Right.
Like there are so many Pokemon mobile experiences. It's kind of mind-blowing to me.
Yeah, it's true. They're all over the phone. And in a way where it's like, yeah, and we know that they're a different company from Nintendo, despite the fact that Nintendo owns like a big chunk of them, and all of their console games are exclusive to Nintendo. But their like relationship to mobile gaming is totally different than Nintendo's.
Yeah, absolutely. They're like all in on it. And
Yeah.
even this time they didn't talk about a bunch of the things that exist. You know, a lot of them they did get shout outs, but there were some that didn't get mentioned at all.
Yeah.
I think the pertinent highlights for us maybe is we learned more about Pokemon Legends ZA, which is releasing October 16th this year. They talked about
looking great, by the way. Like in the footage that we see of it, I know that we had seen a little bit during the Switch 2 Direct, right? Of like we're getting a Switch 2 version of this game. And at the time, I was like, hey, is it just me or does this thing look like revolutionarily different? And then seeing it in action during this Pokemon Presents was sort of confirmation of that to me, that like it looks like crazy better.
Yeah, everything they showed off was the Switch 2 edition. Yeah. They talked about catching alpha Pokemon during the day. These are larger than their regular Pokemon, have glowing red eyes, they're particularly powerful and difficult to catch. They talked about like some of the things you're going to be able to do in the world. Like working with Emma, who's a detective, tracking down missing Pokemon and items, or Mabel from the Pokemon Research Lab, who you'll help analyze Pokemon habits and population growth in exchange for rewards.
So, you know, one of the things about Pokemon Legends ZA is that, like, and what puts it in such stark contrast to Arceus, is like Arceus gave like a big open world of like wilderness, right? And this game is like, no, we're kind of being confined to a city, which feels like a bummer because like that wide open exploration is like very compelling. But if they're like genuinely populating this city with like different characters up to their own stuff, that like I could see a world where that is a like compelling aspect of this game, that the exploration is more personal and less geographic.
It's also interesting that both have the Legends branding, because what does it mean if they're such different types of games?
Yeah, well, it seems like they're still largely the same in like the way you catch Pokemon by just like throwing balls at them like in the world instead of having to like initiate combat with them. But then yeah, otherwise like there are lots of this. I guess the real thing that separates it from like a Sword and Shield or Scarlet and Violet is that there is no pressure to then invent 3 new starter Pokemon and like have a bunch of new Pokemon like throughout the world, right?
Yeah.
That it's all existing, that we're like riffing on existing Pokemon with like new mechanics.
Yeah, that's true. Even the setting, right, is not new. Lumiose City is an existing location. Yeah, that is interesting. They also introduced Team MZ that players join. It's a group focused on protecting Lumiose City. And then they also introduced this idea of rogue mega evolution, so just Pokemon in the wild are spontaneously mega evolutioning.
Yes, and if their mega evolution lasts for more than 30 minutes, they're supposed to call a doctor.
So you'll help investigate and kind of like calm them down. There, of course, will be new mega evolved Pokemon. So yeah, I agree with you. It does look interesting. It probably honestly looks like the most interesting Pokemon game to me that has released up to this point.
I was thinking that this has a little bit of like Mark Mitchell-ness to it. You're so interesting when it comes to story in games, because I know that if a game is compelling you for some other reason, that you have no patience for the story in a game. But if a game is just storytelling, you're kind of fine with that.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
And
even when it's not particularly good.
Yeah, I know. And I wonder if I wonder where this Pokemon hits that balance.
Yeah, I don't know. I have a little bit to decide. Well, actually, I have, I guess, like an eternity to decide in some ways. But I'm trying, I'm like, after this, I was like, do I want to pick this up? Like, should I give it another shot? The last one I picked up was
Sword and Shield, right?
Yeah, that's right. I didn't even buy Scarlet and Violet, and that's so many Pokemon things ago, and this looks different. So I don't know. I'll probably end up waiting for reviews and just kind of like
Sure.
seeing what the general consensus is and what else is out around the time.
I was
and, like,
gonna
what
say,
I'm playing.
I bet it really depends on like what its proximity to Metroid Prime 4 is.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, if
yeah,
you're
totally.
still playing Prime 4 when this comes out,
Yeah.
like
No,
it
that's
doesn't
true.
have a chance.
That's true.
Because I can get it like a week later.
Right. I still haven't played Pikmin 4 or
Crime.
there's just so much, or Echoes of Wisdom. So yeah. You're right. If this falls outside of like the hype cycle and I haven't picked it up and it's not like amazing, there's probably a good chance I won't play.
Right.
After the presentation, Nintendo announced a Pokemon Legends ZA Switch 2 bundle for $499.99 in the US, which is the same price as the Mario Kart World bundle. So two things that are interesting about this to me. One,
Thing number one.
that they're bundling this at all. That
Yeah.
that they are already like out the gate hot with two Switch 2 bundles.
Yes. Very. But it's like, how long did it take them to bundle Mario Kart 8 Deluxe with the Switch 1?
And for the longest
Years.
and for the longest time, that was just a like Black Friday holiday thing. They
Right.
would take it off the market and then bring it back for Black Friday. Eventually, the last couple of years, it became an all the time thing. But yeah, they are like, it seems like let's get Switch 2s into people's hands as fast as possible.
Well, and like beyond that, when you were bundling them together, it like wasn't it still like $360 or something to get the bundle of Switch 1 plus like I remember at least in the beginning that there was no savings to buying the bundle.
That could be true. I don't remember.
Maybe it changes as we like went on like in time, but
well, I guess like a sub note to that is that Nintendo has been saying that the Mario Kart World bundle would be limited time. They didn't say what that meant. And so there's no indication that it will end before the Pokemon 1 is released. But having both of those on shelves this holiday makes for a very very compelling options.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting because like they, that is like something that's in the box, right? Is the code for your Mario Kart World, for your copy of Mario Kart World.
It was. I think now they're shipping versions where it's pre-installed. But
oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting.
But the launch ones were for sure.
Okay. All right. Well, that's I have not really looked into this. Just at this point, with my Switch 2 in hand, I'm like, great. I don't need to think about like how people buy a Switch 2 anymore. But maybe I should. It's my responsibility for the show. But the because I know that availability for Switch 2s has like kind of come back up now, and like you're more or less able to go into a store and buy one. Are you able to go in and buy the bundles, the Mario Kart World bundles now?
Yeah. So in the US right now, it is pretty easy to pick up a Switch 2 online from like Best Buy, Walmart, and Target, and it has been for about a week of just like consistent availability. From what I was seeing, like I was checking Best Buy earlier today to make sure that this was still true, that the non-Mario Kart World version, so the unbundled Switch 2, is sold out, but the bundle is freely available.
Oh. Well, that must just be people checking in finally for Donkey Kong, right?
You mean like they're buying the Switch 2,
because
saving the $50 and then buying?
And
yeah,
applying
could be
that towards
could
Donkey
be.
Kong.
But I'm guessing also that Nintendo is shipping way more bundles than they are non-bundled versions.
Interesting.
Because it's a $30 savings.
Right.
Which
is the other interesting point about this bundle.
Exactly, because Legends ZA is a $70 game, not an $80 game.
Right.
Like
World
like World. So if you buy the bundle at the same price as the World one, it is a slightly less good deal.
Right. And also, like, we don't have any if I had to guess, Pokemon Legends ZA is going to be a less good game than Mario Kart World. But that's also like a subjective thing. But like, right, like Mario Kart World is in some ways like a generational. I mean, it's not. Maybe I'm gonna backpedal all the way. Because I love Mario Kart World, but I know that it has its detractors or whatever. That maybe don't see it as like worthy of being that like bundle game or like an $80 price point game.
But I also think that having those two options on the shelf for the holidays could be really interesting because I think you might have Pokemon people and Mario Kart World people, like someone who's not interested in picking up Pokemon but might be interested in Mario Kart, and vice versa, where it's like a kid who is super into Pokemon but not that into Mario Kart.
Yeah.
So as like a starter, the Pokemon one might be better.
If you're about to spend $500 on a present for the kid, yeah.
Well, I mean, that's Nintendo's problems to solve.
That's where
right?
we are now. Yes,
that's the whole thing with the Switch 2. Of course, you can always, if that kid already owns a Switch, you can buy Pokemon Legends ZA on that system as well
for $10 cheaper than you could buy it on Switch 2.
So, I don't know, kind of, it was surprising to me to see that they were bundling already with how stingy they were with bundles in the Switch era.
Yeah, well, I mean, we've seen them take away most of their other like rewards or like ways to get games cheaper. So I think if they're just like, we can sell a game for $20 or $30 cheaper, but it means you also have to buy the Switch. That's maybe their solution there.
I want to. We'll come back to its availability in the U.S. because there's something else that I want to like kind of like pick up there. But first, let's keep talking about the Pokemon Presents.
Okay.
A few months ago, we learned that Pokemon and Artiman Entertainment, the company behind like Wallace and Gromit and Chicken Run
and the Shaun the Sheep movie,
that they were working on a stop motion animated project together. And at the Pokemon Presents, we learned more about it. It's going to be called Pokemon Tales: The Misadventures of Sirfetch'd and Pichu, and it's coming in 2027. Mm-hmm. They released a 40-second teaser on YouTube that is cute, but doesn't really show anything.
Yeah, and it was the same teaser that was part of the Pokemon Presents. Yeah, you just see one of those little sheep Pokemon whose name I forget. And he's just sort of like sitting there blankly chewing on grass munching. Or something. And then we see the leak of the Sirfetch'd and the ears of the Pichu just kind of like hopping around behind a stone wall or something. I mean, I assume that this is going to be very cute.
Yeah, I assume so too.
But I kind of want to just like see more now.
Right, but after Concierge, I feel like my expectation is that this will be good, that I will enjoy it.
Yes, you don't have it in our notes here, but did you see that there was like the teaser for season 2 of Concierge?
I did, and it had a September release date on it. I couldn't remember if that was new or if we already knew that.
We knew that there was going to be a season 2. I think that was really the end of it.
Oh, okay. So there is a release date for it now.
I wonder if it's going to be as brief as the first season.
Interesting.
The first season was like 4 episodes long, and
the episodes weren't that long,
like 10
themselves.
Minutes. Yeah. But like just a beautiful series. I really, really loved it. And I'm hopeful for the second series.
Yeah, maybe my favorite Pokemon thing ever.
I think what's the other competition?
They also announced Poke Park Kanto, a new Pokemon-themed area at the Yomiuri Land theme park that's located in like western Tokyo, opening in 2026. Now, as a theme park nerd, what's interesting to me about this is that they also have an agreement with Universal Studios Japan for Pokemon things. So Pokemon are featured heavily at the parade at Universal Studios Japan. And there are rumors that a Pokemon attraction is going to replace The Amazing Adventures of Spider-Man there, but they haven't announced anything. So my thought, and so what it seems like is that Pokemon has had a collaboration with Yomiuri Land previously, and it was more like, not like rides. It was like, like a scavenger hunt, like adventure type thing.
Yeah.
And based on what they showed here, it seemed like more like they showed like figurines or basically statues that would be presented. So I'm guessing this isn't like rides, like it's not
that's my impression of it too, is that it's kind of like if you were going to the Universal and just going to the Harry Potter part of the park, but there were no rides.
Right.
Or like you're going to Galaxy's Edge, but there are no rides. And like maybe there are, like activations like with your phone as a data pad or with a wand or whatever, and whatever the Pokemon equivalent of that would be. But maybe not, because like Pokemon Go already exists, right? And that's a thing that you can use everywhere to like encounter Pokemon in real life. So yeah, it's just interesting the way they talked about this park where it's like, oh, I think you're just describing a park.
Right.
Where
Yeah.
they're like, here there'll be grassy areas with trees and maybe you'll see Pokemon. I was like, what?
I know.
What is this?
Yeah. That part of it really intrigued me.
Yeah.
But yeah, and plus the Pokemon Presents had the usual updates on Pokemon's ever-growing stable of mobile games, including Pokemon Friends,
Which is a new mobile game.
that
Yes.
was out. They released it that Tuesday on mobile and Switch 2. And then Pokemon Champions, which they had previously talked about, but is releasing next year. I mean, there's got to be at least a dozen like Pokemon mobile
there's a ton of them
going on at any one time. It's a pretty impressive stable.
Pokemon Friends, an interesting little thing that they trotted out here. It's like a series of daily logic puzzles that are mostly like connecting lines and like shifting pieces around so that like you create a single like circuit for something. And then in solving those puzzles, you get yarn to make Pokemon plushes, which are very cute. But it's not a free to play game, I don't think, or at least if you buy it on Switch, it's $10. But on mobile, there's like a lot that you can throw money at to get to play more of those puzzles every day. I like the idea of a sort of like, it's like is it called luminosity, lumosity? That like a series of like brain.
Oh, right.
Training style puzzles. That really expressly cannot tell you that it's good for your brain.
Right.
No doctor will sign off on that. But like I like the idea of there being that, but for Pokemon. And it seems like this could be that, except it's also just extremely mobily, right?
Right.
Like micro transitioned to an early grave. But yeah, I don't know. It's seems like a cool idea that they did not execute in the most benevolent way.
I wonder now that the more we talk about this and the more we talk about how many things like Pokemon has going on mobile, it makes me wonder how. I would just be curious to know what the relationship with like the Pokemon Company and this is like. Is the Pokemon Company coming up with these ideas and going to mobile developers and like help us develop this, or is it more like a partnership type thing where a mobile developer is coming to the Pokemon Company and pitching them on something, and the Pokemon Company is basically just being like, yes, and they do a certain amount of quality control, and then they agree to, like promote it in a Pokemon Presents, but otherwise they just collect a licensing fee. I don't know. I'd be interested to know like their engagement, because in my head I have it as the Nintendo mobile game model where they were deeply involved and they worked with like DNA to create this stuff, but that may not be the case. Maybe the Pokemon Company isn't like the impetus, like the like the ones that are kicking this off.
The thing that's tough about that is anytime these games are published on Switch, they are published by Nintendo, right?
Oh, that is interesting.
So when they're published other places, I don't know if that is also the case. Like a Pokemon Smile, for example, the teeth brushing companion. Is that published by Nintendo on phones? Is it published by the Pokemon Company on phones? Or is there some like third party publisher that is like doing the actual publishing? I don't really know.
Yeah. Interesting.
It's tough though that like so much of this, you look at it and you're just like, well, that's Pokemon doing whatever they can to make a buck, right?
It does feel, I mean, it's just very, again, different from Nintendo's approach.
Totally.
But very common in the mobile space.
Yeah.
And so, to your point earlier, Nintendo is, like a third owner of the Pokemon Company, but the Pokemon Company very clearly has its own philosophy in the way that it does things.
Right.
So.
Yeah, totally. I mean, and that's, you would never have a Nintendo Direct with the like pacing of a Pokemon Presents, right?
Yeah.
Like it's just and it's so weird when you're like, you don't you can't be like, hey guys, how do you do this? Or it seems like they like genuinely don't care, and it's just like, because I've been trying to figure out like who is the audience for a Pokemon Presents, right? Because if it's like the hardcore gaming types,
which I don't think so,
which I don't think it is, then there's not enough information for them. If it's for kids, why is it so boring? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I struggle to like really pinpoint who is supposed to be watching these videos and excited by them.
Well, the thing that yeah, I mean, I think that's totally true. I think that's a great point, but I also think that it is working for them. And do you remember this was probably like man, it could be anywhere between 6 months and like 3 years ago at this point.
Sure.
Where I think it was
either around the release of the Rise of Skywalker adaptation or around the release of the Rise of Skywalker.
That's right. But at some point, Kit and Krista, who used to work for Nintendo of America for Nintendo Minute, they were talking about on their own podcast, or maybe on somebody else's podcast they were guesting. I can't remember. But they were talking about how working with the Pokemon company sometimes was really frustrating because they were very like demanding on how Pokemon were presented and like the nomenclature and like all that kind of stuff. Like they were what they expressed was basically that they were sometimes difficult to work with. And I do wonder if there's like a certain amount of animosity is not the right word, but like
right.
that kind of maybe they don't want Nintendo's opinion on how a Pokemon Presents is done because it's their thing and it works just fine for them. Thank you very much.
Well, and but what's so interesting about that is like you can see echoes of that in Nintendo as well, right? Like that they will always refer to Mario Kart World as the Mario Kart World game, right? And like the fact that they have all these bizarre. Just last week, Mario, and I'm gonna get it. Super Mario Party Jamboree Nintendo Switch 2 edition plus Jamboree TV was released. And anyone from Nintendo who was talking about that game coming out rattled that whole thing off. And it's just like, like they know the things that they're supposed to say and they say them all the way through.
Oh yeah, no, I think I think all companies do that same thing. You know what I mean? Like you were talking about Galaxy's Edge. Any official Disney thing is not calling it Galaxy's Edge. They're calling it Star Wars Galaxy's Edge.
Sure, right.
Like they're, but it's one thing. I just wonder how territorial that relationship is. But you're right. I mean, the Pokemon Presents is in some ways it's preaching to the converted. Like it's definitely
totally
in a way that Nintendo Directs I feel like are not necessarily.
Yeah, that Nintendo Directs are trying to like break out of the audience of just Nintendo freaks that are going to tune in no matter what.
Yeah.
So check out our coverage of maybe a Nintendo Direct.
We'll see.
You Nintendo freak.
Yeah. In June, the Switch 2 had the highest launch. First of all, it's crazy to me that the Switch 2's only been out for like 2 months at this point. But in June, the Switch...
That it's only been out for 2 months, or that it has been 2 months already?
It
feels like it was very recent, or like we've
no,
been
it does not feel like it was very recent.
It feels like we've been living in the Switch 2 world for a long time.
Right. But in June...
We're just not used to things happening.
It's true.
Right?
It's
like,
true.
We've been subsisting on like, all right, 2 Nintendo Switch releases between January and May.
And one of them is another code.
Yep.
Recollection. Oh, yeah, this year.
This year, yes.
Yeah, also true.
The previous year, I believe 5 games came out between January and May, and one of them was Princess Peach Showtime. So I don't know what to make of that.
In June, so it's launch month, the Switch 2 had the highest launch month sales in the US of any video game console ever. According to Circana, the Switch 2 sold 1.6 million units in June, and the previous record holder was the PS4, which sold 1.1 million units during its launch.
And this, largely speaks to Nintendo's ability to manufacture these things and put them in stores, right?
Well, so this is, 100%. Well, and this is what I think is interesting is, we talked about how easy it is to pick up a Switch 2 right now in the US. Best Buy, Walmart, Target, you may not be able to walk into a store and buy one, but you can pretty easily get one online as we're speaking like right now. Plus, pre-orders are still available pretty much everywhere for the Legend ZA bundle. So, but that's weird for a console that has not even been out 2 months. Like, it's strange for it to have so much availability. And so I don't think it's bad necessarily. I just think it's like a testament to how much Nintendo has stock. But
yes, which
it's
is something
weird.
which is something that they were talking about, right? Like that has been a stated part of their release strategy for Switch 2 is like have enough to meet demand. And you know, when they saw like the initial like pre-order numbers, like there was a moment of like, oh geez, did we even do enough for that? But I think like as we sort of like settle and like they're able to get like second production round Switch 2s out there, or even if they're not being freshly produced, if they're just like, you know, moving down the conveyor belt, that like they have in fact produced enough to meet demand.
Yeah, and you know, in Japan, they're still really difficult to get. Stores are still doing lotteries. You definitely can't just like waltz in and pick one up in Japan. And I can't speak for other like countries outside the US, but it's just unusual for a console to not be like to be really supply constrained, like a successful console to not be supply constrained in its first few weeks.
And also, is that like something from like the last like 10, 15 years, right? That like it's really I'm trying to think of like what was supply like on GameCube or PlayStation 2 or like the original Xbox. I feel like there weren't.
I can't remember.
They weren't in these like moments of like, you know, rarefied air where like it was tough to get them. And of course, I can't really remember, you know, what the market was like 20 years ago. But like the moment where PlayStation 3 and Wii were on the shelf at the same time, and that whole holiday season and into the next year, they were hard to get. I remember that being like a new phenomenon.
Yeah, I truly cannot remember because I was never in the market for a brand new console until I think like the Nintendo DS was the first one.
Right.
But I even got that as a gift. I didn't get it at launch. I got it as a Christmas gift. But I remember, you know, the DS Lite, that being hard to get.
Yeah.
The Wii was challenging to get in the beginning, but I think part of that was that Nintendo was coming off the GameCube, which like sold horribly. So
that
they probably
didn't
weren't
plan ahead.
I would guess.
Yeah.
And then by the time it became a phenomenon, it took a while for the, you know, the gears to start cranking up and really getting those things out there. But you know, and then like the Wii U was a disaster, so it's hard to say.
Right.
The 3DS was not difficult to come by. The Switch was difficult to come by for a while, but I feel like by the holiday of 2017, it was
by holidays it was gettable.
Yeah.
Although, and it would go like in and out of availability.
Right.
Part of that is just pandemic related.
And that may be true here. We don't know. Right. Like maybe they stockpiled a bunch for the Bonanza launch, and then they'll exhaust that. And maybe there will be a drought again until, you know, later when they maybe Metroid Prime 4 or whatever they decide to be the next like big hit.
Yeah, well, and that's I'm wondering what, you know, they're obviously positioning Legend ZA as a possible like Switch 2 sales spike moment.
Makes sense. It's Pokemon.
Makes sense. It's Pokemon. It's also available on Switch 1. I mean, like, and you know, ditto Metroid Prime 4, which I think they would be insane to try and like build a system selling moment around its release, because Metroid has never been that. But like, we don't know what the next like system seller, like the, you know, big Nintendo game that they're going to try to push. And it's, you know, stupid for me to be saying that Donkey Kong Bananaza has been out for like 10 days. But yeah, where's the next one of these? Isn't it crazy to think that like basically every Nintendo generation, you're like, Nintendo, you as a company, as like a developer, are going to put out like 3 or 4 of the greatest games of all time on this generation.
It's and that we're just constantly looking at our watch, being like, "Where's the greatest game of all time?
Yeah,
why haven't you dropped it yet?
I need the greatest game of all time." And when they put one out, you're like, "That's great, but where's Mario?"
Exactly. 10 days later, we're like, "Great, when's the next one?"
Yep.
When are you going to do it again?
It's also crazy to me that it is usually a Mario game or a Zelda game, and the fact that Bonanza is a Donkey Kong game is very interesting. And I'm trying to think of like, when's the last time Nintendo put out the greatest game of all time that wasn't one of those two.
I mean, I think in a lot of ways, Bonanza was a really big swing.
Yeah.
And we'll see if it paid off. It's only been out for 10 days. Like, will it catch on with general audiences? Like, will it be an evergreen title for the Switch 2? We don't know yet.
Yeah. I guess Smash and Kart and Animal Crossing are like the other 3, right?
Yeah, but I would say that
has Animal Crossing ever been the greatest game of all time? Like when it came out?
Yeah, I don't think so.
Probably not.
Has Smash Brothers ever been the greatest game of all time? I would say like volume wise, but like has it ever? Do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, sure. I mean, I think Ultimate and Melee both like there are cases to be made for either.
I think there are cases to be made, but it's almost not the gameplay. It's like the breadth of the content, like that it's a video game like museum, that it's a love letter to the medium. Maybe a discussion for a future episode.
Yeah, it's true.
Mario Kart World has turned out to be the debut of a number of new voice actors for Nintendo characters. We previously mentioned Donkey Kong now being voiced by Koji Takeda, the actor who voiced him in the Super Mario Brothers movie in Japan. And on social media, Courtney Lynn has confirmed that she's the new voice of Princess Peach and Baby Peach. Layla Burzins has taken over the role of Toad, and Laura Stahl is now playing Toadette.
All right, very good. So we same voice actor can't do both Toad and Toadette.
I think
they're too different.
I think they used to. I think it's possible that both used to be done by the same person who did Princess Peach, whose name I'm now blanking on, Samantha Kelly.
Yes.
I think she was the voice of Toad. I think she was the voice of Toad at least. But I don't know if she did Toadette. But anyways, yes, they're two different.
So, we say that Mario Kart is the debut of new voice actors. Do we know that, like, the next time these characters appear, that these actors are going to be voicing them? I guess we don't.
I guess we don't. Like, it turned out to be true for Donkey Kong. He's also the voice of Donkey Kong in Bonanza.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I mean, no, we don't. It's just kind of the assumption, same with like when with the new Mario voice actor, that he would just continue, and he has so far.
Yeah,
just continue to be the voice of those characters. So
it's very. I know that obviously this actor is putting in a lot of work to make these Donkey Kong noises. It's just funny that he's like the voice actor of Donkey Kong.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean?
Yep. Finally, Tetris 99 will be holding a new Maximus Cup, this time celebrating Donkey Kong Bonanza, and this is, in fact, the first Tetris 99 Maximus Cup of the Switch 2 era.
Woo!
So we know that they will continue. It starts Friday, August 1st, runs through the end of Monday, August 4th, and
it seems like you don't need a Switch 2 in order to play this Tetris Maximus.
That's right. And that actually has me thinking, well, first of all, Tetris 99, it works just like the other Maximus Cups. You get 100 points. You'll get the theme for it. Patrick was pointing out earlier that the Tetraminos have like the googly eyes, like the little rock creatures whose names I'm blanking on in
something tones, right?
Yes, fractones.
Fractones, yes.
But
because different kinds of fractones that have different jobs have different names, where it's like a construct tone or a, whatever shop tone. So I was getting confused there, but yes, fractone is correct.
But this got me thinking. I don't know anybody who has used GameShare to share Bonanza down to a regular Nintendo Switch to play co-op.
Neither do
and I want to look that up now to see who's done that and what that experience is like.
Yeah, if you have done that and you're listening to this show, email us, Nintendo Cartridge Society at gmail.com. We'd like to hear about it. I've not played the co-op yet.
No, I haven't either.
Sarah is very explicitly waiting for me to finish playing Donkey Kong Bonanza because she just wants to play it without, my experience also coloring that. But I am definitely going to get in there and play as Pauline. So, like, I am going to change her experience by using mouse controls there. But, I'm excited to try that out someday. But we, as you say, won't be using that sharing down to the Switch 1. All right, Mark, that's the news. Let's close it out. Which also means that's the end of this episode of Nintendo Cartridge Society. Thank you all so much for listening. If you're not in the Discord, You should email us. We'll let you in. Anthony DeLuca made our logo. Our theme music is provided by 8-Bit Betty. Oh, actually, before I run headlong into this, it is possible that even by the time you're listening to this, that a Nintendo Direct has been announced. If that is happening on Thursday morning, as has frequently been the case, we will be recording on Thursday afternoon or whatever.
Yeah.
But if we don't have any word or we don't really know, then we'll put an episode out on Thursday morning as usual. So just we're being flexible. Please be flexible with us, and we'll put something out this week. All right, our theme music is provided by 8-Bit Betty. You can get more of his music by going to 8bitbetty.com or by listening right now. For my co-host, Mark Mitchell, this is Patrick Ellers saying thank you for listening. Mark, I realized I wanted to get this on mic when it was fresh in my head. But how do you feel about Murder, She Wrote?
Oh, with Jamie Lee
Curtis.
I take a lot of strength in what you've said about the prequel movies, where it's just like
the prequel movies, Star
Wars,
yes,
yeah, not Murder, She Wrote. Where it's just like nothing. I love Murder, She Wrote,
yes,
and it's a great comfort show for me. I love Angela Lansbury as Jessica Fletcher, as like that character, but nothing they do is gonna take away any of that.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like,
but you are a little worried that this thing is going to try and take that away from you.
Look, as long as they don't like go to everybody's homes and physically remove the DVDs of Murder, She Wrote with Angela Lansbury and be replaced by the new like Jamie Lee Curtis stuff. It's kind of like whatever. Like I hope it's entertaining. I hope that they find a good take on it.
Yeah, it's interesting because like Curtis's vibe seems wrong.
I completely agree. But again, like, I don't know.
Yeah, do you want the same thing again, or do you want something different?
Right. Like, just kind of like how Poker Face is like Columbo, but not exactly like Columbo, but it scratches that itch. I'm always in the mood for more cozy mysteries. And so if they're able to do that, but with a new take, sure, why not?
It's just like...
It's jarring.
It's jarring.
It's jarring. Yeah.
Like it's a little bit of a jump scare when you're like, oh, Murder, She Wrote reboot movies starring Jamie Lee Curtis.
Well, also movies
or movie, I think.
But no, I mean movie at all. Like, what a weird venue for that.
Yeah, truly, because like, what's popular now, movies or TV? And it's like TV, obviously.
Well, and I think it's an example of what we were talking about before we started recording, with just like everything is IP based now,
right?
Where it's like, okay, we're gonna do we have this Murder, She Wrote IP sitting around. Let's figure out how we're going to make money off of it.
Right.
Because if we make an original movie like Cozy Mystery starring Jamie Lee Curtis, that is risky.
That's
but if we make
the Hallmark Channel,
if we make a Murder, She Wrote movie, that's at least a title that people know. I don't think that's like a great way to go, but that's totally where Hollywood is right now.
All right. Well, thank you. I just wanted to get that before. If we didn't talk about it today, I would have been
so glad we did.
Okay, good.
I'm so glad we did.